watching it, but I remember Elon Musk saying that Doge was a hustle. That was the word he used, quote, hustle. Um, and I believe it did sell off. Doge did sell off, although it is recovering a bit now. Yes, it is recovering. We started this week with Elon Musk saying he's literally going to be sending Doge to the moon. I think he's putting it on one of his Doge 1 satellite to the moon. And then he asked this Twitter poll question: do you want Tesla to accept Doge? So I think that it's sort of telling actually when he mentioned this because I don't think anyone would expect this tweet, which came out a day after, and this is what the tweet read: Tesla has suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin. We are concerned about rapidly increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions, especially coal, which has the worst emissions of any fuel. Cryptocurrency is a good idea on many levels, and we believe it has a promising future, but this cannot come at great cost to the environment. Tesla will not be selling any Bitcoin, and we intend to use it for transactions as soon as mining transitions to more sustainable energy. We're also looking at other cryptocurrencies that use less than 1% of Bitcoin's energy transaction.
I wonder if that same philosophy applies to his products.
Yep. So that
Of
was,
course it
you
did.
know, a lot of people mentioned that. Like the irony is that coal power is used, especially in the factories over in China, to build the Tesla vehicles, and other environmental concerns about mining the metals and the materials which are used for Tesla vehicles.
I mean, they source their lithium from China, and they source
Yeah.
their cobalt from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah.
I mean, both of those are well-known, not only human rights violators, but I mean, they're very environmentally conscious countries, aren't they? Like they totally care about that.
Yeah, I don't think China is part of the Paris Peace Accord, right? So
The climate accord? Probably not.
no, no. Nope. So I mean, yeah, there was the irony there. A lot of people were pointing that out, but we've talked about this on the show, but Galen, you've pointed it out, the cult of Elon.
Hmm.
And I must admit, I on Twitter follow a lot of these sort of retail meme crowd, as people call them.
Hmm.
They turned on him like big time. I mean, the amount of hate I've seen, a lot of people now don't trust the guy, saying
Really?
that, hey, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's just, they're just like, hey, we believed you, and now you did this. There was even news that tons of people who bought Bitcoin and were holding Bitcoin now have actually canceled their Cybertruck orders
Interesting.
because they're so upset about this pretty much pump and dump, I guess you can
Yep,
call it.
basically.
Um, yeah,
Might as well just call it what it is.
Yep.
yep. And there's one guy here, I'd be shocked if Tesla isn't already out of Bitcoin. Some guy
I would be
tweeting this.
shocked as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably, you don't mention, you sell at the highs, and then you don't really mention when you buy or you sell, right? You do it before and then you tweet it out. That's generally the
It's
way
a
it goes,
problem when
right?
you follow the cool kids.
Sorry, what's that,
It's
Joseph?
a problem. That's a problem when you follow the cool kids. I mean, do what the cool kids are doing, and then suddenly they've sold off all their Bitcoin, and you're like, "Where's my money gone?"
Yep. So one cool thing I wanna talk about, well, actually a few cool things here. Um, First of all, this is from ARC. They're comparing energy expenditure across monetary and banking systems. As you can see, Bitcoin mining, gold mining, banking system. But what I really want to point to is Cambridge Bitcoin electricity consumption. Um,
Hmm.
and it's updated every 30 seconds. It's showing us the Bitcoin network power,
Right.
annualized. And yeah, I mean,
That's the
it
amount of a
actually,
small country, isn't it?
well, it's higher than countries including Sweden and Malaysia, which I think Malaysia has a pretty decent population size. I'm not
Hmm.
entirely sure, but there is some, I guess, um, backing
Last
behind the
time I
electricity consumption.
last time I checked, Bitcoin's consumption was the same as Argentina and a little higher than Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Okay, so
There you
there we go.
go.
There's a few other bigger countries there, and funnily enough, a week ago, J.P. Morgan actually came out saying why. Here's a funny little meme here with guest starring
The
with
Doge
the Doge
fodder.
Shiba coin there.
Ah, the-
But they came out with a little post, J.P. Morgan, talking about why Ethereum is going to. There's J Powell looking at Ethereum chart, but why Ethereum might sort of overtake or be a bullish case for Ethereum compared to Bitcoin. And they actually mentioned power and ESG, right? So the whole ethical, social, and corporate governance attention. And yeah, that was actually one of their idea. And they mentioned here that there's going to be a greater focus by investors on ESG, which is, again, though, it's all about Ethereum 2.0, right? So
Well, exactly. In order to cement his position with Ethereum, Buterin has craftily given away about $1 billion worth to sort of a charitable cause. But in all he's done is ensure the life of his cryptocurrency. If he really wanted to help the agency that he gave the Ethereum to, he would have given them cash fucking money that they can use. But of course, he didn't do that, right? And he's trying to be all philanthropist about it, and it's not. It's just him saving his own ass and looking for good PR.
Yep. So,
Sorry.
No, I mean, so far we're seeing this the division here now. I mean, here's a chart of Bitcoin. I just want to point this out to some of the technical guys there. But it is looking sort of toppy. I mean, these are sort of topping patterns that I look for. This is called the head and shoulder. So it is remaining above 47 here. So we'll have to watch and see. Meanwhile, Ethereum, I mean, you know, it's been a rocket ship. We hit highs of almost 4,400. And today it's up 10%, whereas Bitcoin's up 1%. And I have Ripple and Stellar here. So it looks like there is this shift into Ethereum, whether it's front running, you know, it being money or it being environmentally friendly, or if it's just the hype on NFTs or you know, buying even DeFi tokens and other stuff on the ecosystem. We'll just have to wait and see. But a lot of people are still thinking that Ethereum is quite cheap at 4K versus Bitcoin at 50K there.
I gotta say that's not cheap. Like, it's just astronomical, these numbers.
Yeah.
And it really leads me to wonder if there's actual value to this or if the whole industry is based on the greater fool theory.
I think Ethereum is overvalued for what you get for right now. But like if Ethereum 2.0 does happen and it does scale, it will be cheap for 4K.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, coming back to Ethereum 2.0, that's the big question.
But
So I was just
is
chatting
this the
with,
pie in the sky that we're never going to get and everybody's just going to continue talking about?
yeah.
That
So
is-
that's the
It's a
worry.
$1 million question.
Yeah, and I was on Twitter yesterday, and there's a few people saying that you guys remember when I was talking about my experiences with Ethereum, like how much I paid the 30% for the gaslight fees. So people on Twitter were mentioning how they were taking or getting out of losses on Ethereum. I guess they were just day trading it,
Yep.
which I mean they probably look foolish now, but they were getting out of this trade here, and one guy said he paid $300 in gaslight fees for a $200 loss. So, you know, again, that's the big issue, right? It goes back to fees, and now I guess you can lump in this whole idea of energy intensive proof of work validation. It all rests on 2.0. Before we continue that discussion, I know there are a few
very
people
quickly, just had a comment from Coop saying that when
Who?
Ethereum Kooplak, the
Yep.
username Kooplak, so when Ethereum 2.0 happens, that's going to be a sell news event, which is true.
buy the rumor, sell the news, right? That's what we tend to hear. And I mean, here it's saying that they hope to. I remember, Joseph, you mentioned you were
Now,
hearing Ethereum 2.0
Very
might
quickly,
be-
TK, I think we lost you on the Zoom feed, my friend. But
Yeah,
keep going.
I just sent back.
I got
request.
you, my friend. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
I think, Joseph, did you mention something about possibly Ethereum 2.0 being out by the end of December of this year?
It's a scaled rollout.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through Beacon Chain. That happened at the end of last year, and they're expecting to have they're expecting to have everything done. I think by October, November of this year.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that. I mean, the specifics change depending on the course.
I just mentioned that because here they're saying that the anticipation of 2.0 is expected to become a lot more energy efficient by the end of 2022. So I don't know if they're just trying to extend the goalpost there, or you know, just
It seems
Well,
to be.
it's
So go ahead.
completing the shift staking is what that is. I mean, right
Okay.
now, Ethereum is a proof of work consensus mechanism, which it basically mines new coins the same way as Bitcoin. And when it moves over to staking, it won't require the room full of servers anymore to be able to do it.
Okay.
That's why it's going to be more energy conscious.
Okay. I was just gonna quickly say, I know a few people are probably gonna ask, okay, okay, what are some coins that we can look at? Some proof of stake coins with low energy costs, and our good friends over on Zero Hedge answer this because a lot of people are probably asking. There's 6 cryptocurrencies which have been increasing because people are now looking for those currency with low electricity costs and are buying those. So the biggest one was actually Cardano, which we can take a look, and that was one of our picks, if you guys recall, from a few weeks back. But Cardano, I think, almost touched $2 per token there. So that was one there. They also mentioned Polygon. So I'm not familiar with that. Wait, is that one? You mentioned, Joseph? You mentioned Polkadot, right?
Polkadot, yeah.
Yes, Polkadot. So there's Polygon, which had a 16% increase. Stellar is another one, which is also rising, and that's one of our picks that we talked about as well. Hedera Hashgraph, I know someone on our Discord mentioned this token. So that's
I'm kind of excited about it if the math turns out to be usable.
I like Hashgraph too.
Yeah.
Okay, you like Hashgraph, yeah. And then the final one.
Galen actually introduced me to Hedera Hashgraph about 1.5 years ago.
Oh, there we
go. I had a good solid look into it. It looks really. It's kind of fascinating because it doesn't seem to operate like a normal blockchain.
No, it's a very independent. I mean, you kind of have to grow it at the beginning, but after that, it's self-regulating to a certain extent. And the math that it uses, the consensus model, is consensus without consensus. Meaning that it whispers amongst all of the nodes, so all of them really know what's going on all the time anyway. So when a consensus happens, it just happens. So the speed of the transaction takes place. Also, the nodes can be your cell phone. Like, we don't have to have computers and servers and all that kind of stuff, which in a certain sense really democratizes it, because if anybody wants to take over the network, they have to buy a trillion phones to offset the balance.
I'll just read this out here to support you, though. Hashgraph is not a blockchain in the sense that it's built on a chain of blocks. Best to imagine it as a graph, whereby the speed of verifying transaction goes up as more transactions are added to the network. The name for the technology is in fact known as DAG, short for directed acyclic graph. I probably butcher that word. Acyclic. Okay,
my bad. My friend. No, not bad.
This technology is designed to help Hedera Hashgraph achieve more than 100,000 transactions per second, making it a true competitor to Visa and other mass market payment systems. The Hedera network, currently performs 6.5 million transactions per day with an average transaction time of 5 seconds, easily surpassing Ethereum's 1.2 million and Bitcoin's 300,000 transactions put together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just all, when the rubber hits the ground, will it perform as expected? That's basically it.
Yeah.
So the question is a lot of these blockchain-based technologies.
Just the final one is, they also mentioned Clayton here, Klay. Never heard of that one.
Never heard of that one. That's a new one to me.
That's another big one here as well.
Now, I just was reading an article, which I closed, unfortunately, that Canada is soon to be expected to start regulating cryptocurrency. At least that's the feeling of one of the fellows running a crypto exchange out of here in Vancouver. He thinks that it's very close to national level regulation, meaning that the governments and institutions will demand a more stable environment rather than a retail free-for-all controlled by Musk's tweets.
We could have seen the beginnings of that yesterday. There's an article here by Bloomberg that there is a probe. Binance, one of the, or if not the, I think Coinbase is probably the largest, but one of the largest crypto exchanges.
Yep.
It's facing a probe by the U.S. Money Laundering and Tax Sleuths, or the SEC, pretty much, Internal Revenue Service. So this could be sort of that, the catalyst for that type of regulations, which again, we've warned about, right? We know that's probably coming, and it's probably the next step. Vancouver is sort of notorious, right, for Quadriga and Einstein Exchange, I guess.
Yeah, we got a bit of a Wild West market going on out here. I mean, that's the only reason why they were able to get away with the, oh, damn it, I can't remember the gold company that that big scandal where they had $1 billion entity created out of somebody pulling nuggets and throwing them into the samples that they were showing people up here. What was the name? It's the reason why we use NI 403s, right?
We're talking the Briex scandal.
Briex, there we go. Yeah, totally fucking blanked on that. Yes, right. So Vancouver is known for that kind of shenanigans, and all the way around. So I wasn't surprised when I heard about that Vancouver crypto exchange becoming, illiquid.
well, apparently the guy passed away, and he had all the codes, right? The keys, and he passed away, and he went to India.
That's not the Vancouver one. This is the Vancouver one was the guy that actually got away with it, like took off with them.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was.
He's actually talking about Gerald Cotton. Gerald Cotton is actually from my hometown, which is apropos to nothing. But he ran Quadriga CX. And he went on vacation to India and died of Crohn's disease, supposedly.
Yep.
But when they went in to have a look at the vaults afterwards, and they somehow managed to get past the necessity of a private key, I'm not sure how they did that, they found they were empty, suggesting that he's probably living in an island in Micronesia somewhere.
No, makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was leading to. He probably faked his death and his... I mean, it's funny because the same parallels to the Briex story, right? Like, apparently the geologist that was rigging the samples, he apparently was dead. The Indonesians apparently threw him off a helicopter, and then pigs ate his hands and his feet and his face, so there's no, facial or identity could be discerned. But I've heard from a geologist that he's living in Brazil. So
you never know. The world's a crazy place.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah, it was a $1 billion crime. And that was this Vancouver market is kind of known for it. We're a little bit of a frontier, I guess you could say, untamed when it comes to public market transactions.
It's not the number one spot you really want.
Speaking about future, just speaking here about future regulations, let's just look into Coinbase here. I mean, they had their earnings yesterday. Their revenue tripled from last quarter as crypto prices skyrocketed. Coinbase earnings per share of $3.05 brought in $1.80 billion of revenue, up from $585 million in the fourth quarter of 2020 and $191 million a year ago. So there's the numbers. The net profit for the quarter was over $777 million, more than fourfold quarter four 2020's figure, and more than 24 times than the year ago quarter's profit here. And
those profits are the result of a 4% transaction fee.
Yep.
And
so
the leaping price of crypto. It's not like they've done better business. They've just benefited from what's going on.
Well, as long as cryptos remain hot, they'll do fine, right? They'll make money as long as the retail crowd keeps trading crypto, and obviously that's what's going on. The stock price, however, didn't hold on to its gains. Did actually sell off and is still down for the day on those earnings. So maybe this is more front-running potential regulations. So there might be some fear right now. And we are at around $257 per share. But keep an eye on this, because I think it looks like there's much more lower that this can move, and maybe that catalyst is going to be some sort of crackdown on Binance, and then maybe some sort of crackdown.
I don't think the currencies can survive with these independent crypto exchanges. That's why the stock exchanges that we have that are legitimate are all regulated, because they would just run amok if they didn't have rules. And case in point, every one of these guys closed down operations when they were going to lose money.
Well,
right?
we talked
and
about
that is like the worst.
Yeah.
Right? You've got your money in there, you watch it spiraling down and you can't trade it off.
Well, it goes down also to depositor insurance. So they're not regulated. These crypto exchanges don't need the funds, right? So for example, I've always brought this up a few months ago. I was like, hey, look, if Bitcoin goes to 50K, 60K, 70K, and this big rush goes out to cash profits or take profits.
None of these guys have the cash to cover it.
Exactly, right? And that's, that's what we saw in the last exchange. I remember a couple of my buddies who were trading with Quadriga tried to get their cash out, and Quadriga kept saying, "Hey, we'll have to give it to you in installments of like once a month, for like a year or something." And one of my buddies actually went to their office and said, "I'm calling the cops," and they gave him his money, and he booked it, right? But
Good
I
for
mean,
him.
yeah, that's the whole idea, right? Of the depositor insurance. And my bullish case is once that shows up, that's when the institutions will actually start to get involved, because you'd be pretty foolish being an institution buying tokens and then knowing that these funds or these exchanges don't have the cash to actually pay you back, right? So,
And will, at the drop of a hat, close operations to prevent you from
yep,
taking your money out.
yep.
I think
Fake
Binance
news,
is going to
fake
be a
deaths.
curious case when it comes to the coming regulations, because Binance themselves are based in, I think, well, they used to be Chinese, but now I think they might be either Japanese or Korean. They had to leave China. But what they have is a split run a Binance USA, which is the only way someone from the United States, really North American, can invest in Binance. Now, that can be subject to SEC.
Yep.
The SEC can probably get all over that. But what I'm curious is about what they're going to find there, and whether or not it's actually going to be something which produces a catalyst which causes regulation of the entire industry. Because if you want to find the real crooked things that Binance are doing, you can't look at Binance USA. You have to look at Binance. I can't remember where they're from. I really do think it's Korea, or where they're stationed now, because that's really where you're going to find the KYC and the anti-money laundering things.
I got you. No, it kind of
It
makes
looks like it might
Malta.
be.
Apparently
Malta,
based out
okay.
of Malta. Or wait
Yeah,
a
I
minute.
see
Oh,
Cayman
no, Cayman
Islands
Islands. Sorry.
yeah.
They
Different
are
thing.
really,
That doesn't sound very good if they've got like multiple locations going around. But yeah, Cayman Islands.
they're one of the biggest. They're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and possibly one of the dirtiest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. I won't do business with them personally.
I
think most of what's gonna go on is gonna be completely negative. Once people start probing and finding the skeletons, I don't think it's gonna be pretty.
No, I agree.
I don't think it's gonna be pretty. And you can only manipulate for so long, talking about the man himself. But at some point, reality kicks in, especially in the public eye. It kind of, I was surprised with people, actually being upset with his SNL performance and everything that's been going on.
Yeah.
Because I watched like a few clips of it, and I'm like, he's there just doing him. Like, he's not really focused on the crypto space or Tesla, for that matter, to be honest.
No, that was besides the fact. That's really what that whole thing's
besides
about.
the fact. I feel like I don't think he's a bad guy. He's just
I like that meme.
Oh my god, that is so true. So just for fun, I went back a couple days ago and looked at 2 periods of Tesla between. Well, you only have public information since 2010.
Yep.
So if you had bought the stock in 2010 and sold in 2015, let's say you put $1 million in it, you would have made $9 million total return in that period.
Okay.
If you had bought from 2015 until 2020, so not including everything that's happened now, it's actually down now. You'd have made 17 million. But if you had put $1 million in Tesla, so he's creating wealth, he's creating millionaires, and they still lose faith in him. It's pretty. They must really love Bitcoin more than they do.
Yeah.
They must love the crypto space more than they do Tesla itself. It's just pretty telling.
I think so, and I think it's also a rude awakening to a certain extent that you've just been had right?
Yeah.
And it is the greater fool theory, right? He's manufactured the value of his company as well as cryptocurrency, and they believed him. And then he does his about face, and they're going like, "Wait a minute, you're a liar, and it cost me like my home deposit."
My mortgage and stuff.
Yeah.
Just using an example of like what's going on with the central banks, though, do you think it's maybe everyone or people know that what Tesla is doing or what Musk is doing, but as long as they're making money, they don't need to point fingers, right? They can be happy about it, and then when things go south, they can say, "Hey, we knew about this a while back, and now we're angry about it."
Well, I
Right?
mean,
I think
absolutely, but
so.
that's the
Yep.
sign of somebody who really doesn't know the idea of investment, right?
Yep.
It's a long-term value store that's supposed to grow over an extended period of time, and it's not necessarily just their fault. The market itself has evolved. The addition of quants and algorithms have all become about shaving the penny on the day, right? And
Yeah.
it's that's not that system at all. So it's been turned into a casino, not necessarily by the retail investor. It's already been started, right?
Yeah.
J.P. Morgan started playing both sides of the coin. Sure, hedge your bets, but the problem is that they were actively screwing with the prices so they could kick over profit, right?
I think so.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
using the retail investor as the dupe.
As the
And that,
scapegoat.
yeah, and Tesla just extended that philosophy. Basically, Musk just, and to a certain extent, you can say that, well, it's just Musk saying stuff on Twitter. Why should I have all that much power? Well, he's eviscerated his PR department. He is the voice of Tesla.
Basically. I don't even listen to the chairwoman. I I,
Yep.
I don't even know what she says about the company.
Yep.
Who? I don't know.
And does anybody even know who that is? Exactly,
Yeah.
right? Like he
Yes,
is the voice and face of Tesla, and he's
Yes,
using that influence to sucker basically people into giving him billions of dollars so he can ride out his sham of a fucking company until something actually happens, if it ever does.
It's kind of, I was reading something this week about, not to get too much into it because it's a whole topic in itself, but, Vishal has been talking about currency crises historically,
Mm-hmm.
and everything in the US, outside of Japan and stuff, is kind of showing that they've kind of lost control,
Yep.
lost control of their monetary system. Fiscally, they can do as much as they can and
Mm-hmm.
print as much debt as possible. The government never goes bankrupt, but monetary wise, I think they've kind of lost it here.
Yep.
And I now the big question that people have on their minds is, okay, you can run a current account deficit for so long,
Yep.
and print and print and continue to print and lower interest rates, but eventually most of your economy is going to be funded by foreigners, foreigners who are only getting into equities and real estate and stuff like that.
Yep.
What happens if they lose faith in you and they pull that capital out? I mean, the US will have to fix its exchange rate. It'll have to do all these things that are not in its.
Yeah, we had the
I'm
plasma
not.
court in the 80s, right? That's
Yeah.
what
Yep.
they had to devalue the dollar by 40%, which a lot of foreigners, especially the Japanese, didn't like.
It did yet not at all. They had a whole fight about it where these guys were appreciating the yen to the dollar. It's just like, it's so weird. It's a weird place right now.
Yeah.
I think, not to bring up the old COVID, but COVID brought in a kind of a reality shock for a bit, and then the train continued to roll on. That should kind of tell us that, oh yeah, this is actually even worse than
we thought.
worse than we thought, because most of the time the market goes through a correction when the economy is not doing that badly.
Mm-hmm.
The economy only does badly after the correction.
Yep.
In this situation, the correction, the economy did badly, and the market, instead of having correction, just continue to chug along, just continue to go at it. As well, when we say the market, 20% of it is the FANG stocks and Tesla and stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just, when I was reading that, I was like, yeah, they kind of have lost control here, and money is flowing to the people who can advertise the best. I don't think it's an industry about who's being more productive with their assets, or it's just who can advertise the best, who can get that. It's ironic. Elon doesn't have any marketing budget. He really is, like Galen is saying, he really is the spokesman. Like
Yeah.
he's the man of the hour. Anything tech, even not in his industry, go to him. Anything about innovation, go to him.
Yeah.
Watching an interview of him and Jack Ma, and he's making fun of the guy. I was just like, come on, man. He's also a billionaire. Just give him give him that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I was like, yeah, the guy, I don't know if his ego is starting to
I think he's bleeding his own press.
Yeah, I think so. But that SNL the SNL skits, the ones that I watched, I was like, yeah, this is a man who can do no wrong. And then a week later, this happens. I'm like, what? How is this? How is this even connecting with anything that's been going on for so long?
Yeah.
So, in all in all, yeah, I am afraid.
Now, this has been a very interesting discussion. We've delved into a lot of different things today, so I'm sure that I know that I've learned a lot. Let's finish off, if we can, with a brief sort of summation and prediction of what we think is going to be happening in this particular industry over the next 6 months. Vishal, do you want to start off?
Well, I mean, we've talked about it, but I do think, yeah, regulations are going to come. Just interesting. I don't know how involved governments are going to go, but keep an eye out on India, right, where they're banning crypto mining and trading there. So that's the largest democracy in the world, but trading's not really a big thing there in India yet. So let's just sort of see what happens there and if other governments get influenced by what's happening in India.
Awesome. Joseph, hit it, man.
Well, India's always had a kind of a up and down relationship with crypto in the first place. I don't think you can necessarily look at India as being the bellwether for the way the planet's going to go. Now, in terms of cryptocurrency, when it comes to regulation, I think we're going to start seeing more self-regulation. Actually, I think a lot of these companies are already starting to look at green alternatives, and they want to get on top of that before the government makes them get on top of that. You see companies like DMGI, companies like Marathon, and they're already starting to look at alternatives.
All right, sounds good, Joseph. Thank you very much. TK, give a swing, my friend.
I honestly don't know where the roller coaster will go, but I will say this: the first company or exchange to allow me to buy put contracts on Bitcoin, long-term put contracts, 30-year, 40-year contracts, I will sure as hell put money on that.
Very good. I like that. All right. As far as I'm concerned, I think everybody kind of knows where I'm at. I think it's all a fucking sham. The only thing of value is blockchain, and we have yet to see that properly implemented. The idea of cryptocurrency, I think, is just another thing, flash in the pan. But that's just me. And thank you all for listening today, because we've had a lot of very intelligent voices, not necessarily mine. I was just loud. But we'll see you again next week. And yeah, thanks for coming out, man.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Bye, 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 goodbye.